so the amount of time and energy that goes into gaming a system, only put it to good.
Right.
Right. So a key, like we started thinking about this from the very beginning. How do we verify? It wasn't so much crowdsourcing. To me, it's not about crowdsourcing. It's about crowd verification, and that has to be, because origination of data, that's easy. It's the verification part. So that's where a lot of our thinking went into. And then we came up with proprietary ways to, how do we know that this information, what kind of probabilities can we put to it? How do we double check and triple check it? When should stuff be escalated, when shouldn't it? So that's where a lot of our headspace went to. Yeah, that's...
In a non-proprietary way, can you list the first three things that came to your mind as generalizations? So for instance, one generalization would be user to user, one generalization would be algorithmically, and which ones do you feel were most successful for the amount of effort you put into it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, not quite, but I said, like, how do we rely on users checking users, or do we rely on other types of probabilistic?
Right.
analysis?
So you could do users checking users would be one mechanism for validation and for to do it. Another mechanism would be algorithmically, and without revealing any proprietary knowledge, out of those or out of it's something else that you might have come up.
And
what
we
was most valuable?
we went holistic. We said both.
What's that?
We went both. We said both.
Okay.
We said you had to use both methods. You have to do users checking users, because you're effectively relying on the labor of the users, so that has to be involved. And then you have to learn from what's going on. You have to then we do both.
Okay. And what was most effective from?
It's both.
Both?
So that's why it's a
It's 50%.
Well, I'd say they're both integral,
Okay, gotcha.
necessary.
So, Aaron and I were talking a bit about this on our car ride down, and I know you wanted to talk about something here. So I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, I walked in a bit late, so
It actually does.
can you give me the 15-second recap of the conversation so far?
Chickens and lasers.
Yes. Experiences.
Xylophone predators.
Experiences, crowdsourcing, or really just sourcing data, and how it relates, and how crowdsourcing can or can't be applied.
Right. I mean, listening to the conversation so far, I mean, one of the things I'm wondering, like the example you were talking about, where with people sort of moving stuff around, I'm wondering how much of it is a deficit of tools for community management that we have. Seth and I worked at Flickr for a bunch of years, so we had a big community, and it's true. Users spent a lot of time trying to gain things like interestingness, and then, when we had sort of third-party integrations where they would just be like, we will just add user-generated photos, right? And we'd get some women businesses who would sort of stumble along, and they would just be like, oh, we'll just take the photo tagged X, without asking users, without getting permission. Yeah, it wouldn't take long before the users were just like, I'm going to replace my photo of X with a photo of Y. But, so I'm wondering, like, when you do these, we keep talking about, we'll just let users add data. But there, is there that mechanism for some kind of vetting, some kind of moderation?
Sure,
like
authentication, validation, whatever.
It doesn't even have to be that precise. I mean, I think a lot of it depends on the scale that you're working at. One of the things that we did for groups was, you'd have a group admin, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, sometimes just one, and then the admins could assign moderators, and the moderators would have certain, controls over the group, like the ability to take a photo out, to block a user, and I'm just wondering if maybe that's what we're lacking, are tools for doing that sort of thing. So that doesn't necessarily answer your question. I mean,
No,
one of the things...
I'm trying to use it as a jumping off point, because I know that there are lots of people here that haven't actually said anything, and you must have opinions about this. They need not be strongly held.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that's really interesting is also assigning. I mean, the thing that's really lovely about the Wikipedia model is, you know, there is a history of all the activity, right? So there is a consequence of, you know, you can trace it. It's a giant nuisance. Like, I keep thinking up, you know, one harebrained project after another that, oh, just run it on Wikimedia, and then I think, I can't. The idea of managing the community terrifies me. But it's possible, right? Like, they've done it. You can't look at Wikimedia anymore and say it's doomed. So I think, you know, maybe the thing that's not talked about enough are tools for community.
As a point to that,
Yeah, building communities too.
oh, that's the key, right? But Wikipedia, that was one of the things I looked at too. Like, what kind of reward system is underpinning the editor system in Wikipedia? And sort of looked into that, and what was, you know, it's just part of my learning. And going in, realizing that they had this whole system of bar stars and how the award system was created and who can give whom awards and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it came back to the incentives again.
I mean, there's also the part Sorry, go ahead.
Wikipedia
Go ahead.
is against, I mean, officially they're against incentives. They think that they distort the system, and all those badges are unofficial, except because you have administration privileges. And Jimmy Wales, you know, I think talks about Edward Deming, he paraphrases some of the things he says, that incentives can really distort your system. And it may be good to have people addicted. I mean, you know, it can get people addicted to their stats and giving the system to get points, and that may drive traffic. If that's your goal, that's fine, but it may actually get distorted. It may really distort the true purpose of your site or whatever purpose you have, because people do it just to get approval. So you may. Yeah.
To me, it comes down to just designing the system and the incentives so that there's no dissonance there.
I mean, so for me, I ran a wiki farm for like 7 years, around the same time as at Wikipedia, and all the people that were getting kicked out of Wikipedia would come to my wiki farm and would just they would start their own wikis. And I don't think things worked great. I mean, so Wikipedia was this very narrow topic, also a bit controversial, and so they are very unique. I mean, in my experience, I don't see people gaming the system too much, and when they game it, they've gamed it in some very unusual and wonderful way. I mean, there was one university, the Department of Architecture at Auburn. They use the wiki for everything, and that's because one of the professors was really the champion, and he made every new student use the wiki, start a wiki page, also re-edit and refactor and delete pages of other people or summarize them, so people got used to the idea. And what ended up happening, you started having these ghost students who were turning in extra homework. They were like doing, you know, so you had this, you know, you had those different storylines of like students who didn't exist, who took the courses or who did the homework, but I'm with you on this. I think sometimes people don't have the tools. I think the wiki system, having all versions, being able to filter, let's say on a map, if you have bad data on one, if you could just press a button and be able to see all the markers that this one person or the person from that one IP address, I know IP address is imprecise, but you could see all the modifications made by one IP address and all of that. I mean, I think that's very helpful. And start very small with the control. I mean, keep it open and then slowly give people privileges. I mean, slowly turn on the controls. But as the problems arise, right, make it really an organic thing. And the biggest problem with most wikis, at my experience, is that you start one and no one participates. So it's really the opposite problem. So, you know, get ready to do most of the work yourself. I mean, I'm guessing for mapping as well, and then eventually people will participate, and then slowly turn on the controls as they're necessary. And because doing it the other way, starting with all the controls, and no one participates anymore.